Here are my bad examples. We don't want to do those. And we're going to draw them with a lot of gentleness and shading and soft value change rather than hard lines. So we're going to start with some lines. Start with just a line for the base of the nose. And your big circle in the center is where the bottom of your nostril or the bottom of your nose tip will be. Those two other overlapping circles will be where your nose holes are. Okay, that's where your nostrils are. So just imagine these two little circles are those circles on my paper, and then this circle right here is the tip of my nose. That is my giant circle. The next step is we're going to draw a line that swings up around the circle and goes up at an angle and curves out again. You don't want to make it too tall or too short because this is the bridge of the nose. So however long or short you make this is how long or short the nose will be. Then we'll put some other lines, just a few to mirror the other side. And you see the nostril starts to develop at the bottom here. Okay. Oops, there we go. Nostril starts to develop. And I'll start to connect some of my lines here. And already it looks like a nose. Just a few simple lines. Now we're going to go to the third step is the other half of the nose. Now I'm putting lines here for the bridge of my nose, but eventually we're going to shade them so that we don't even see them. Okay, so that's why it's okay to map things out with lines. It's because eventually we're not going to see them. This is the side of the nose, right? If I'm looking at my nose bridge, these two lines, this is the line, feel your nose. See where that shadow or that bone stops. It just kind of fades into your cheekbones. But where does it stop being slanted and vertical? Okay, it stops about here. So that is what we need to shade when we're drawing noses because that gives the nose dimension. Okay, and then I'll give the other side some three-dimensionality too. And the line right here, it's like a little ocean wave. And that is to mark out, I'm going to draw on my nose, to mark out this curve. Our nostrils have edges, and it goes up here and then back up here. So it's really helpful to physically feel where your nose changes plane, changes in space, or to look at someone else's nose or your own and just visualize it. Okay, so I have that line there, and my nostril down here. I'm going to start to form this a little bit more. Erase that. Okay, and now we get to the shading part. So use this circle to guide where your highlight and where your shadow is. Because the light source looks like it's coming from this angle in that photo, our shadow will be more dark on this side. So I'm going to take the side of my pencil and really lightly shade this side. And I'm going to shade into my sphere a little bit. Under my sphere, follow this line that we just made. And I'm going to even go past my nostril because our noses are three-dimensional, so guess what? They block our face from getting light, right? If I'm facing the light, I have a shadow right here that's created by this nose. So I'm going to shade my nostril and shade the other side a little bit. Give this a little bit of shadow over here because it's still not getting the same light as the very tip of our nose, which gets the most light. And these angles here are where our eyes start to come in, right? Our eyes will be over here, and this connects us to that space. Darken this up more. Darken up this edge. And I'm going to give the center just a little bit of shading to soften it up. Soften this. Right? We don't want to have huge, really stark contrasts. We want this to be nice and gradual. I'm going to erase this line that I have here a little bit so that I don't see such a drastic circle. I'm going to shade here a little bit more. And I'm going to shade now. The tip of my nose is going to get some darker shadow. And I'll start to form my nostrils. I'm going to reshape this a little bit. Erase some of this. And my nostrils just a little hockey puck. And over here, darker. And it's darkest over here. And it gets lighter again, darker again. And my nostril over here has some shadow on the outside and above it. When I shade, I like to move my pencil in circles sometimes rather than in lines because it gives the form more of a round feeling. Okay, I feel like that's good enough. You get the idea, but shading really adds so much dimension. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the lips. We'll just move our paper down. Oh, let's give it some shadow right under here. A little bit of a line because that is our, I forget what this is called, but it's that little crease underneath our nose, above our lips, that goes in and out. It defines that a little bit. Okay. And our lips are the same, similar beginning structure. We start with 3 circles, only this time they're the same size and they look like they overlap in a triangle formation. The center of our lips is this bump here and it goes out this way like a bird. Okay, and it stops with little indents. The bottom of our lips is round, or sometimes it's flat, more flat. Sometimes it's really drastically curved. Sometimes it has a little bit of an indent in the middle, and so it varies. So I'm going to draw this shape here, and this little U here at the top is going into the circle, not above, not below, too far, but just at the top, and it's gonna just curve down like that. Now the fun part is when we get to shade. Another way you can do that actually is putting little beans from the circle to the edges of the lip, and that kind of forms that same shape. I feel like this is really drastic. I'm going to make this a little bit less dramatic, this center part. Okay, so anytime you're drawing, you can just erase it and adjust if you feel like you need to. I'm also going to erase my guiding lines a little bit, my circles, just so I can shade better. But I'm not getting rid of them completely because they're going to help me shade as well. So my most dark areas will be around the outside of the circles. Okay, under the center lip, going into the circle a little bit, underneath them, and on the outside. Notice how I didn't mark out the edges with my pencil lines I just shaded. Okay, and then the bottom of my center line has shadow as well. Okay, I want to see if this light is better. Okay, not so much. Oh well. And the center line is always going to be the darkest part of your lips because it's really the line. It marks the center of the lips. Now, looking at my lips, if you look, my light source is above me. Which lip is darker? My top lip. Why? Because the light is not hitting it because the lip is angled this way so that the light is not hitting the surface of it. It's hitting like the very top edge, but my bottom lip is angled this way so the light hits the surface. So typically lips are lighter on the bottom and darker on the top. So in this example, it is true. It is also true. It is darker on the top. We're going to shade the whole thing, the whole top lip, and make sure we shade the more toward the center of the lip to be darker, because that's as it's going into the crease. And I'll give this a little bit of shadow, and I'll make the center a little bit darker. Notice how some parts are a little bit thicker in the center line. I don't know if you really can see it in real life, but maybe look at your own lip and see if that rings true. Okay, so my lips don't look exactly like the ones in the example, but lips are going to be, again, I'm going to say it a million times, all shapes and sizes. So if you can shade in a way that convinces someone that these are lips, you can make them any shape you want. And then the bottom, this is an important thing, under your lips, because your lips are also three-dimensional, there's going to be more shadow underneath because the light isn't hitting it as much. And then our chins come outward more so that they're getting more light. So I'm going to shade under my lip and then above my lip, just that little crease there goes in, so the center has shading, and then it goes down and down. Very, very lightly I'm shading. Okay, so practice and do it a million times and you'll be awesome.